Welcome to Rousing Reads. This is Nick. No, it's been a while since I posted, but I just recently finished the phenomenal book, Hunger of the Gods by John Gwynne, and it was fantastic. And I'm searching BookTube to see who else has finished it, and there's a lot of reviews up, but nothing with spoilers. And I need to talk about this with people. It was just so good, and there's a lot to discuss, and there's not much out there. So, if you continue to watch, again, spoiler alert, there will be spoilers. And this isn't going to be necessarily a super polished video. I do have some points written down that I do want to touch on. But yeah, I would recommend, if you're looking for a review on this, spoiler free, there are plenty out there. This is going to be a lot of a discussion on what went on, as well as, my overall thoughts on it with spoilers. So with that being said, first things first, is Orca dead or alive? Gosh, I hope she's not dead. And at the end of that, closing that book, I was just like, no way. No way is she dead. But, I'm torn. Like, what is John going to do? Is she killed off? Or, she's got frost spider venom in her veins right now. So is she dead? Is she going to be captured? I find it hard to imagine her dead because she is such a huge POV character. Like, a huge piece of this. And without her in the third installment, I wonder how long that can be made. I apologize for my dog barking. But yeah, Orca, let me know in the comments what you think. Is she dead? Is she alive? What will we see from her, if anything, in the future? But yeah, awesome ending, cliffhanger ending. How am I going to wait another year for this next book? I don't know. John, please release it early. From there, obviously we had the revival of multiple gods in this one, right? We get Ulfrir in the beginning. Partway through, later in the book, tease of Orna coming, right? And, at the end of the book, we see Orna for, 5 minutes before, her and Leek Rifa battle to Orna's death. And I kind of like that. I like how he removed Orna pretty quickly. I've been thinking the whole book, like, okay, if Orna comes back and she's thralled to Queen Helka, and if Queen Helka and Elvar are not, seeing eye to eye, like, are Ulfrir and Orna going to be made to fight each other? Like, no, please, like, don't let this happen. Now, my problem is, like, okay, we're reviving gods. What's the limit on that? Like, if Ulfrir dies, can he be revived again? Can Orna be revived again? So, like, I don't know if Leek Rifa is aware of this, and it sounded like she was mauling Orna post-mortem pretty good. So curious to see what happens there. Hopefully Orna doesn't get revived again. But I do like how John brought her back pretty quickly and got rid of her pretty quickly. So I think it sets things up nice for the underdog feeling with Ulfrir, because he's got to deal with Leek Rifa and Rota. And, from Orca's POV towards the end, we know that a spear to the chest of Rota in his human-like form is not going to do the job. And a rat god, like, so weird. And it was interesting, I was curious throughout what his powers would be and how would they translate into, the tainted. And we got that with Bjorn, and how his bones will be a little more malleable. He can squeeze through things, but with that being said, Rota not having to be revived, been around for a while. What was he doing? What was he doing for 300 years? Like, clearly, obviously, he was chained and being tortured for a portion of that. But why did he not seek power? Right? Clearly he's happy to sit next to Leek Rifa's side and just hang out there. Not necessarily the leader, but I don't know. You're the only god living, free. What are you doing, pal? So that I was confused, like why I was just chilling at Nastrandir for 100 years. Um, so I wonder if we'll get an answer to that in the third installment. Um, I thought it was pretty refreshing having the additional POVs between Guthvar and Bjor. Still don't like either of those characters, but you can empathize with them where they're at. Earlier in the book, Bjor is clearly questioning his decision. He misses Elvar. Um, you know, it explained a little bit when you find out that he's tainted as Rota's offspring. Gives it more of like, okay, he's a rat, makes sense, for the traitorous behavior, but it's not sitting well with him, right? So I like that point of view. I like the point of view switches when two characters were coming together. I thought that was really cool. Thinking I don't know how many people saw The Last Night. Wasn't a very popular film, but I thought that was cool, like the way that was done, and I think this picks up on that on a few occasions where you switch from Elvar to Bjor, right as they're meeting each other. Elvar and Orca. I meant Orca and Bjor, and Orca and Elvar when they meet. So I thought that was pretty cool. Guthvar, what a slime bag, but yeah, you feel for him a little bit with the whole Hinder thing, and Skalk, what a awful human being. Just curious to see where him and Yrsa wind up in book 3. I think he got away at the end, if I'm not mistaken. I think Yrsa kind of freed him from Guthvar there. But what a little turn of events there, a little bit of a surprise. I like the ending of that line. It's interesting, right? And I don't necessarily blame John Gwynn for this, but there's a pattern in many books where the pacing is just right or slow, takes time, right? 3 days trek, we stop multiple times with this group, and then in the back quarter of the book we just get fast forwards, right? Fast forward, right? So when Orca and her company make it to Nastrandir and no one's there, and we're not filled in through Bjor's POV or Guthvar's POV that they already left to Svelgarth, I believe they were heading. So you felt that tension when the doors were opening, and then they're already gone, and we weren't behind the POV. Now, I understand why we weren't there, right? It leads to that surprise for Guthvar and Jar Silgrin going against Queen Helk, with that little turn of events there, which I thought was cool. But the pacing, you spend so much time to build all this stuff up, and then you fast forward towards the end, so it's interesting. I don't know if I would necessarily change it, just something that I noticed. What else? There's a lot of, we're finding more and more gods, boar tainted. So there's a lot more to this world. And, with the reveal of, Iscadan, we heard about it, but we've never been there. And that parasite sounds awful and horrendous. The description is fantastic in these books, but do I ever want to see those parasites again? And the writing, no, just because they were gross and terrifying. We're also, the next book, right? There's got to be a lot of pages to fill, especially if Orca's gone. I hope she's not, but if she is, you got to think that Iscadan's going to play a big role in whatever Prince Yarmir was working towards. Will be interesting because clearly there's something major going on there. And, we find out that they have gods of their own down there. So I'm curious what could come of that. Would love to hear some of your thoughts in the comments. What do you think? What are your thoughts for book 3? What do you want to see? Other thing, Elvar, and I know a lot of people didn't like Elvar in Shadow of the Gods. She grew on many people, right, as the book went on. And I think she continues to grow on you more, between becoming Battlegrim Chief and now Jarl of Snakovic. And you just felt good for her, when Ulfrir looks at her with right in front of Yar's store, and she gives him the go ahead, like, yeah, screw you, buddy. Like, you were a terrible father, a terrible person. So glad that she got her revenge on her father there. I'm curious where she goes from here, and from a moral standpoint, when all is said and done, is she going to release all her thralls? Like, is she going to have a different worldview? She seems to be moving that direction, right? But like, you can, with the way the world works, like, you can see everybody's point of view, relate, empathize a little bit, right? Like, as much as you hate the Raven Feeders and Leek Rifa, they're in this world. If you're tainted, like, and someone knows that, you got to throw out collar immediately. You're no longer free. So you understand their point of view. We know they're not going about things the right way, and they want, Leek Rifa to rule the world. We want freedom for everybody. But like, is Elvar much better than Leek Rifa? We don't know yet, right? Like, she's out to end the dragon. She's out to get Bjorn. She's got a blood oath for that. And, as we see, like, the blood oath is leading her to make, decisions that are, we look at as maybe morally right, but is she doing that out of the goodness of her own heart? I'm not sure. And what is her path, if she wins and becomes a leader of the free world, right? Like, what happens to her thralls and everything there? So yeah, let me know your thoughts. I thought this was awesome. A great addition to Shadow of the Gods. I can't wait for the third one. And this is kind of just stream of conscious. I had a few things written down, but there's so much more about this book that I would love to talk with you about. So feel free to engage in the comments. Sorry for the lack of polish on this video. I know I don't have a huge bookcase of books behind me. It doesn't mean I don't love this book and this series. And John Gwynne is phenomenal. I haven't read any of his other books before Shadow of the Gods. I might go back. I got a lot of time. From what I understood, Shadow of the Gods was his best starting book. So, like, I feel like if I go back, am I going to be let down a little bit? I know he can close out series. His hand-to-hand combat descriptions are second to none. Maybe I'll go back and read, but I'm curious to find out what anybody who has read this book has thought about it, and what they predict for the third book, and let me know what I missed. And I think I'm gonna get back on here and start making videos more frequently, and less organized, less what I was doing about, but more free thought. And I like the spoiler review as well. I don't have to hold back. So awesome. Look forward to engaging with people in the chat. Okay.